he's still, in my mind, the best option defensively that anybody in the league could have. When I hear people say, well, Draymond's been a negative for the last 10 games, I'm like, well, he's been a positive for the last 12 years. So, like, let's settle down here.
This is kind of the spot in the schedule that I think everyone, especially you guys, have been waiting for. So here you go, 8-game homestand. What does this mean for the organization as a whole right now?
Well, it's an opportunity to gain some momentum, get some separation from that 500 mark that we've been hovering around all year. It's the natural swing of the schedule after the initial month or so was really rough. So, yeah, it's a great opportunity for us, and it's also coming at a time where starting to get healthy. Al Horford now stringing together some games, and DeAnthony Melton is back and finding his shooting stroke. So it feels like a real opportunity for us, but we've got to take advantage of it. We've got 7 more home games, on this homestand. So, let's get on a run.
And it's probably a little easier to get on a run when you have health and now you have rotational clarity. Are you feeling better about the 10 or 11 that you're playing, knowing that if healthy, you kind of have a rotation finally?
Yeah, I think there's going to be some tweaks every night based on how guys are playing. You saw the Clipper game the other night. We didn't play Guy Santos at all for 3 quarters, and then we felt like we needed his energy, and he completely flipped the game. Gary Payton can do the same thing. And so there are games where Guy or Gary might only play a handful of minutes. There's games where they might close and play 20 minutes. But that's kind of at the end of the rotation where those guys kind of expect that and understand that, So at the top of the rotation, it's been good to have a regular starting lineup now for a few weeks and basically a rotation for Steph and Draymond and Jimmy that they're used to. So I think we're in about as good a place as we can be in terms of, starting lineup and rotation-wise.
Coach, I want to ask you a couple of Draymond Green questions. And there was obviously some energy going back and forth between Draymond and Giannis and some hard fouls in there. And you've talked recently about how, he needs to stay on the court. So as you're watching that all play out in real time, what's going through your head?
First of all, Draymond is probably the best possible matchup for Giannis that we could find. This is where, his brain, his IQ, his strength, his length, physical strength, all that stuff just comes into play when you're playing a guy like Giannis. You need everything, and Draymond has everything. The battle was amazing, and Giannis is so good that he still ends up with whatever it was, 34, and I don't know how many boards he had, but Draymond just made everything difficult. Giannis hardly got to the line, which was one of the keys to the game going in. And at the end of the night, it's you get a win and you go, yeah, we sure needed Draymond out there tonight, and that's what he's capable of. Against the very best players, he's still, in my mind, the best option defensively that anybody in the league could have.
We've seen it this year, Jokic, Wemby. We've seen it this year. That said, I know you hear the talk and you see the analytics of Draymond's plus-minus, which is always been a great strength of his, and it's not been so great this year. So, A, what are you seeing that's different with him this year? And B, is there any thought to, lowering his minutes or tweaking the role a little bit?
Well, we look at all that stuff every day. We watch the tape. We have 2 analytics people in the room with us every day as we watch film, so we're all connected as a group. We hash out what's meaningful, what's not. One of the big themes from the analytics department is, be careful with small sample sizes. So when I hear people say, well, Draymond's been a negative for, the last, 10 games, I'm like, well, he's been a positive for the last 12 years. So, let's settle down here. Let's give it some time. But, no, I think you have to allow for all the circumstances that are involved, where the league is, how people are playing. I'm going to keep hammering home, although I'm not saying it to the team anymore, but I'm going to keep just hammering home that if we take care of the ball and we get offensive rebounds, then we're going to be a really good team. And Draymond is going to be on the plus side. And it's an adjustment that I think our team has to make. He has to make. We've talked about it, and it comes true. You know, last couple games, Draymond's been off the charts good offensively. 19 assists, 2 turnovers, making really simple decisions. And he's been on the plus side. So I don't know. I just think you can't get too carried away with the numbers. You have to study them and take them with a grain of salt too.
You said you're not going to hammer them over turnovers anymore. Is that because it's gotten better, or are you feeling kind of like a broken record?
Yeah, it's more the latter. I mean, I was hammering it home for so long, and I think the players were feeling really self-conscious, and I think it was actually kind of counterproductive in some ways. So in the last couple of weeks, I don't even mention the word turnover. I just say, let's hit singles, let's make simple decisions, let's go. And meanwhile, we're also hammering home the point that the league has changed, and it really is a possession league now. Milwaukee's a great example of that. They're second best three-point shooting team in the league, but they're middle of the pack in offensive rating. And, 5 years ago, if you were such a great three-point shooting team, you'd be near the top of the league automatically in offensive rating. But they don't get offensive rebounds. I think they're 30th in the league in offensive rebounds. And they don't get to the line for easy points. And as a result, all that shooting is somewhat negated by those other stats. And these are the kind of things we're trying to teach our team. As the league changes, our players need to understand it, and we got to know how to counteract that.
All right, Steve, let's talk about the Clipper game. Where did that rank on the Steve Kerr anger meter for you?
Well, I read that I've been ejected 5 times, so I'm just going to say it was top 5.
Okay. Of those ejections, or even just your memory, like, can you ever remember being more angry on a basketball court?
Well, I'm trying to think back to the other ones. I remember getting ejected in Sacramento, and as I was being led off the floor, DeMarcus Cousins, who was playing for the Kings, was laughing at me. And so that was that's never a good sign when DeMarcus is laughing at you because you got kicked out. So
that's rare.
Yeah. So that was I got mad at Kenny Mauer in Portland one year when he called a flagrant foul on Draymond, and I went nuts and got tossed. So yeah, I mean, every once in a while I snap, and it's happened a handful of times. I can't really rank them because I lose my mind, and I don't remember much. I just sometimes I just feel like I got to back up the team, and sometimes it's genuine anger and conviction. I just think you cannot miss an obvious goaltend call. You just cannot. And so a lot of that was just principle. Like, come on, guys.
I'd love to circle back to the actual X's and O's of that rule, but I also have to ask, at any of your previous ejections, have any of them ever been narrated by an iconic rapper before?
No, nor have they been in front of my mom, who was at the game in L.A.
Oh,
so
wow.
that was this. Yeah, this was the most memorable one for sure because I got the narration from Snoop, which gives me great street cred, and then I got completely shot down by my mom for my behavior. So
yeah,
it was like it's like the full circle. I got praise and I got mom's glare. So I guess I'm back to square one.
Let's play it for everybody. This is from Peacock. Here's Snoop calling Steve's ejection.
Back him up, GP, back him up, Steve, ready to fire on him.
He's already gone.
Steve banging Inglewood right now. Inglewood, get him, Steve. You in Inglewood, Steve. The Arizona Wildcat that came out and look at
Okay. Any comments, Steve?
I mean, I'm not going to lie. That's pretty cool to have Snoop Dogg narrate my own ejection. That's awesome.
I mean, the whole sequence was just mind-boggling. And you're right, the goaltend. And last 2 minutes, you can review it. And if they called goaltending, you can review it, but you can't review that. Was that more angering, or was it the delayed call on the Steph not an and one, or was it just a collection of all of it?
No, it was all included, and I don't know. I don't think Steph. I think Steph is such a different player, and so much of his game is played off ball. And I don't think that the officiating accounts for who Steph is and how he plays. I think we're so attuned to guarding pick and roll and guys driving. And then, Steph comes off the ball because he'll come off screens and guys are bear hugging him. I think those are fouls, and he's not getting those calls. I think the freedom of movement that the officials were calling a few years ago has kind of gone out the window. And I don't know. I think some of my frustration with watching, Steph get bear hugged game after game and, not getting some of the calls I think he deserves, I think that frustration boiled over for me.
I'd like to ask it to you this way. I can tell you that a lot of people I talked to, when they saw that, they were like, it is about more than just that moment. And maybe this is also about just, you've called it a fading dynasty. You guys are having a hard time stacking wins. We've got this Kuminga situation over here that you're not hiding from. Was any of that sort of just an accumulation of all of these things, Steve?
No, I don't think some of those things factored in. I think that it's mostly backing up my guys. I mean, Steph gets fouled a few times. I think he deserves calls. He doesn't get them. I'm gonna go to bat for him. And this has happened a few games, and I can sense Steph's frustration. I'm gonna back him up, and that's kind of my job as the coach. I actually feel really good about where we are as a team, and I think the comments that I've made recently, maybe they were taken a little out of context. I don't know, but my point is, we just want a shot because we know we're good enough to beat anybody in a series. We know that, but it's different. You can't be 20 and 18 and say, and have your three best players at 37, 36, and 35, and lie to yourself and say, yeah, we're in the same class as OKC. You can't. So you have to be realistic about this. But my whole point is, if we get right, which I think we're on the way to doing, give ourselves a chance, anything can happen in the playoffs. We won a title in 22 and everybody thought we were already past our prime. So my point is, let's get ourselves that chance. But to do that, you got to make it through the regular season. You got to have good health. You've got to find your identity, and you got to find your rotations, and that's what this season is really about. And there's something really cool about that in my mind. Just the honor that comes from competing and staying tough and competitive and gritty, even when you're 37 and 36 and all these young bucks are coming at you. I love it. I think the challenge is amazing, and I'm excited about it.